Prime Minister Bayrou published a list of proposals in July to cut the French government deficit, or the projected deficit, by some 44 billion euros in the next budget for 2026. And the response of the political parties in the parliament to his proposals was such that Bayrou will have seen that there was no chance that he would get a majority for his budget in the parliament in the next few months. So in calling this vote of confidence next week, basically he was committing suicide instead of waiting around to be politically executed, so to speak, in the parliament during the budgetary negotiations later in the year. Now the situation is complicated because there are three outcomes are possible. One is that he simply appoints a new Prime Minister to take Mr. Bayrou's place, assuming he's voted out next week. Secondly, he could dissolve Parliament as he did last year and call new elections and hope that would produce a different distribution of power and seats in the Parliament. Or the most dramatic scenario would be one in which he resigns himself and calls presidential elections. That's something he's vowed not to do, and I consider it highly unlikely, even though both the extreme right and the extreme left have called on him to do so. There's been no culture of cooperation and compromise between the major political parties. And although from time to time a president has had to cohabit, as one says in French, with a hostile majority in the parliament, at least there has been a majority in the parliament for some political direction or another. At the present time, there is none, and all the leaders of the political parties and micro-parties that now exist in the parliament are all jostling with each other basically to get into the best possible position to run for the presidency in 2 years' time or less. If nothing is done to curb and to reduce the government budget deficit, which is the highest in the Eurozone, then the interest that the French government has to pay on the money it borrows on the bond market, these are going to rise. And they're already relatively high in European comparison. And this problem can only get worse, of course, if there's no stable government and no new budget.
J'ai tenu mon rôle d'officier de sécurité et je passe la parole.
C'est parmi les meilleurs du monde. Le canon.
The effect of this political uncertainty on Europe and France's role in Europe, of course, can only be negative, but it may not be all that significant, because in the sphere of foreign and European policy and defense policy, the French president has a wide scope for action without regard to the parliament or any majority or shifting majorities in the parliament. What is probably problematic most of all is that without a new budget, it's hard for France to spend more money on foreign issues or on foreign policy, and that could affect, for example, the capacity of France to supply arms and weapons to Ukraine.